What is good, y'all? It's Anime K here, and we are back with another video. Now, guys, did you think I'd be back so soon? No, you didn't. You didn't. Now, guys, we're going to be talking about Tokyo Revengers and Windbreaker. Now, obviously, these two animes have been compared so much. That's all I see on my timeline is Windbreaker is already surpassed Tokyo Revengers. Okay, look, I get it, right? Windbreaker is good, right? I'm not going to be negative in this video about Windbreaker. I actually love it, right? Bear in mind, I do love it. I do love Windbreaker. I think it's great. I've been watching it. I think it was hype. I think the last episode I watched was like episode 6 or 5. Amazing, right? Amazing. It was that good. I even switched from dub to sub just so I could keep watching. So guys, I do love it. But today I just want to talk about the two animes, compare them. Now, I'm not going to go into like an in-depth comparison. It's just going to be off the dome from what I can remember from both animes. Now, I love Tokyo Revengers, so for the most part, I can remember so much about the anime, right? And then obviously Windbreaker is recent, so I can remember that. But I just want to get into both animes, talk about what I like, dislike about them, you know, compare the characters and all that. So guys, obviously like, comment, subscribe, share the video. I'm gonna try to be more, you know, consistent with my posts now. I think I'm gonna try to post a bit more. I just stopped posting for a lot of reasons, but you don't need to know about them. You didn't come here to hear me talk about why I stopped posting, so we're going to get into it. Now, I want to talk about the story start. Now, both stories had great starts. For me personally, right, out of the two, I still prefer Tokyo Revengers start. I know a lot of people prefer Windbreaker start, but again, I just love the time travel aspect of Tokyo Revengers. It annoys me how they've kind of flopped a bit with Tokyo Revengers in the later seasons, but for the starting part, I really love time travel. Anything to do with time travel, I really love it, so I have to give it to Tokyo Revengers. Now, while Togamichi's motivations are a bit weak, because obviously it's like, oh, my ex-girlfriend died who I dated in high school, so now I have to go save her. His motivations are a bit weak. I think we have to admit that now, guys. But I think that aspect of time travel and going back in time, I think it's something we can all enjoy. And I'm sure we've all been like, I wonder what it'd be like to time travel. So again, I think the time travel aspect is what really hooked me in to Tokyo Revengers. And I still give it to Tokyo Revengers in terms of the story start, right? So the start of the stories, I give it to Tokyo Revengers. Now with Windbreaker's start, I think it was still very strong, still very good, and I still like Sakura as a character, and the starting of what we got from him was really good, but the start, I still give it to Tokyo Revengers. Now the MCs, I obviously have to give it to Sakura, right? I don't think there's a debate here. You have Togamichi, who cries all the time, and you have Sakura. Now, look, we're going to get into the crying part and the personality part. I'm just going to talk about the MCs as a whole, right? And with the MCs, right, the reason why I picked Sakura really is because with Togamichi, he just makes no improvement at all. And Sakura, in the first maybe 6 or 7 episodes, you see him improve both in personality and in his fighting style as well. I mean, even the other characters say, it's shocking how he's improving and adapting in the fights that he's in. But with Togamichi, he makes no improvement at all. And while I wanted to give him some time, I know a lot of people after season 1 were annoyed that he made no improvement. I wanted to give him some time. Even through season 2, I gave him time, but after season 3, I was just like, I'm done with his character. He makes no improvement at all in his fights and just relies on everyone else. And he still manages to get a high rank in Toman, becoming like the first captain, I think he was. And I just don't understand that. I don't know how you become the first captain of Toman and you can't even fight. It probably should have been Chifia who was actually the first captain, because Togamichi just makes no improvements. I mean, when you've got someone like Mikey in your team, you think he would have improved, but he just makes no improvements at all in his fighting styles, just cries throughout fights and just goes, oh, I want to be strong, I want to save everyone, but he doesn't really do it, and he's just all talk personally for me. So that's why I do give it to Sakura in terms of just MCs. And then when you look at both backstories, right, the reason why I like Sakura, even though his backstory is not uncommon in anime, obviously everyone's looking down on him, it feels like he has to be strong so people won't look down on him anymore. It is a common backstory, but it's still better than Togamichi's. I mean, we don't really know Togamichi's backstory really. He lives by himself. Even when he's a high schooler, he lives by himself. You don't really learn much about his backstory. If you do, then I'm sorry, but I can't really remember it. And I would remember it if he actually had a good one, but he doesn't really have a good backstory from what I can remember. Whereas Sakura, he just has a simple but good backstory, and he's a really likable character really. So yeah, in terms of main characters, I have to give it to Sakura. Now again, maybe there's something I'm missing here. Obviously I said I'm not going too in depth, but I think as MC, Sakura was a better MC from the moment he actually kicked someone's ass in the first episode. Personalities, again, I give it to Sakura. I think with Togamichi, the annoying thing is what I just mentioned earlier, is his crying. Now, his crying didn't annoy me at first. I didn't mind it because obviously he didn't really fight too much. Now obviously he was a delinquent, right, but he wasn't really strong. But I thought that would at least stop, or it at least improve over time in the fights he got in. I thought he would cry less because, you know, he gets into more fights, he gets more hardened, he gets more strong, he gets more mentally strong. But no, even in season 3 he still continues to cry. And after a while I was like, okay guys, I'll admit it, I'll stop defending his crying. I won't do it anymore. All right, I'm annoyed with you guys, right? His crying is annoying. Whereas Sakura, right? The thing I like about Sakura's character is, one, obviously he's strong, but two, when he says he's gonna do something, he actually does it. And even when he gets his ass kicked sometimes, which is not really happened too much within the story. Obviously he's been hit a couple of times by strong characters, but he actually stands back up and he adjusts and he uses his head. And even though, yes, he's a loudmouth and he doesn't always use his brain, if you look at Sakura during these fights, he's actually very battle smart. Like, I'd actually give it to him. He actually adapts pretty well when he's fighting against different people. Whereas Togamichi, for the most part, he just gets his ass kicked and has to rely on other people. Now, I know the main basis of Windbreaker is obviously to rely on other people, right? But Sakura is very reliable and he's very good, and again he adapts to fights pretty well. Now I've got the next category here, which is side characters. Now with the side characters, I have to give this to Tokyo Revengers. I think Tokyo Revengers side characters are way better and actually probably carry the story a lot of the times, right? I think while Windbreaker's side characters are good so far, maybe we've not had enough time to learn about them, which is obviously fair, it's a new series, but while they're good, I don't hate them, they're just kind of average to me. Okay, I don't want to say average, actually. They are pretty good, but Tokyo Revengers side characters, Mikey, Draken, Chifia, and Kasaki, obviously before season 3, I just think are really good, and I really enjoy their side characters, and I really think Tokyo Revengers side characters are really compelling. And even if you read later on into the story, into the manga, I think the side characters just get better and better and better. Now obviously Sakura is better, but in terms of the side characters, I just really love Tokyo Revengers side characters. You guys let me know what you think in the comments below about the side characters, but I just think Mikey is just such a good character. I just think his backstory is really good. The death of his brother, his sister as well, just everything else that's happened with Mikey. I just think he's a very compelling character, and obviously Draken and some of the other characters as well. And I think the problem people have with Togamichi, I think the side characters are that good that when you look at Togamichi, you just go, should you really be the main character? Now, he's not a bad main character, but again, the side characters are just really good, all right? I don't know what else to say. The side characters are just really good, guys. And last but not least, I want to talk about the fights. Now, the fights are 50-50 for me. I think with the fights, right, from watching both shows, I think it depends on what you like. I really think it does. Now, with Tokyo Revengers, I feel like there's more hard-hitting moments. There's more, you know, Mikey's kick. I think in the Valhalla fight, you remember when he kicks, I'm trying to remember his name. He has like black and gold hair. You know, he kind of goes a bit crazy. You know, he kills Mikey's brother, Kazutora. That's it, right? When he kicks Kazutora, that's one moment where I was hyped. That was just sick. So in terms of like just raw hype moments where you get that just one hit of dopamine, it's Tokyo Revengers. But in terms of like a long fluid fight, I'd give it to Windbreaker. If you look at the recent fights that taken place, and I'll put them on screen while I'm talking about them if copyright doesn't get my ass, right? Pause. If you look at Windbreaker, right, the fights are more fluid, you get more, you know, high-paced scenes, you get more back and forths, it's less talking. So again, I think it just depends on what you really like in terms of the fights. But again, overall, I guess if you put a gun to my head and made me pick, I'd probably go with Windbreaker, only because again Sakura's fights were just epic, especially in that first episode where he's first introduced and he saves that girl from all those guys, right? But I do still love Tokyo Revengers in terms of, again, the hard-hitting scenes and the hard-hitting fights. But guys, look, that's all I'm going to talk about with the two series right now. Windbreaker is fairly new, so I don't want to put it over Tokyo Revengers yet. I want to give it more time. I know a lot of people are already putting it over Tokyo Revengers. Me personally, I just want to give it more time. I don't think it's been out long enough to put it over Tokyo Revengers. I know people are saying, oh no, it's not recency bias, it's just better. But I think it is recency bias. And I think after Tokyo Revengers season 2, I think a lot of people fell out with the show, which I understand. But I wouldn't put Windbreaker over Tokyo Revengers yet. I think it needs more time. I think it needs maybe at least a second season for us to compare the two in terms of like shows and stuff like that. But overall, I think Windbreaker is going in a very good direction, and I do think it will probably overtake Tokyo Revengers. Now, I haven't read Windbreaker's manga, so I don't know, right? But in terms of just someone who's just watching the anime right now, I think the way it's going, it will definitely overtake Tokyo Revengers. But right now, I would still give it to Tokyo Revengers personally, right? But again, you guys let me know your thing in the comments below. Let me know if you think I missed anything out. And again, let me know if you want me to compare any other shows. But I think in terms of these two shows right now, Windbreaker, you have a chance to pass it, especially after the horrible season that Tokyo Revengers put out with season 3. But guys, like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and tell me which show you prefer most. Now, I know most people in the comments will say Windbreaker, but at least try remember how much you enjoy Tokyo Revengers. But guys, this has been Anime K. Peace. I am out.